Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Harakakwadash. And I would also like to give a double honors to the apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who do well that have taught me this truth. And I would also like to say a sincere shalom unto the hopeful elect, unto the scattered elect, unto the servants, the prophets, the brothers who are out there prophesying, laboring in this truth. Continue to fight, continue to endure in this truth. Unto you I say shalom. Iran is showing the world the blueprint to defeat Babylon. All right, and I was watching the elder from Mississippi, Ayasha his channel is GMS Kingdom Minded 144. He puts up constant edifying lessons. Subscribe to this brother's channel. But upon listening to it today, it's like the blueprint is set for the world to see. All right, all we got to do is deplete them from their stockpile. All right, and they've been doing that, for a while with this war in not Iran, the war in Iran. But even before that, they gave a lot of missile defense systems to Ukraine. Okay, they of course they gave a lot of missile defense systems to Israel. All right, but what is Iran doing? They can manufacture these drones that they're sending out. So many thousand in a week or a day or whatever. All right, but the blueprint is basically you got to deplete Babylon of all their resources, all their missile defense systems, all their missiles. Okay, and where they even in Babylon is calling for a non-ceasefire right now. All right, and eventually these nations are going to see the vulnerability of Babylon, and that's when they're really going to strike. It's going to be a surprise attack. And you don't think China, Russia, all right, North Korea, and these various other nations are watching, all right, paying close attention to what's taking place over there in the Middle East, the so-called Middle East, Western Asia, all right? Everyone over there is jockeying for position right now, all right, because in their minds they feel that, okay, if we take out America, we could be the next superpower, all right? But the Most High got all these nations in a trick bag because ain't none of them going to be the next rulers, because the next rulership is going to come from Yasharallah, all right, Israel, all right, under Yahawashi and King David. All right, so I'm going to play some of the brother's video because he got these guys on here. They're bringing out some solid-ass points about missile defense systems and, because like the elder was saying that on paper, America looked unstoppable. They put so many millions or trillions into their military, but where is it? All right, and the longer this war goes on, the worse it is for Babylon. All right, because inflation's not going nowhere. Inflation is going to continue to rise. Okay, but as truth begins to come out, because also in the brother's video, and I saw the report a few days ago that it's over. They say 600 soldiers have died over there. I think in that base in Jordan that was bombed. All right, and those numbers are probably on the low end because it's more than likely double or triple the actual numbers that they're giving us. All right, and what do you think is going to happen? Because a lot of people know, a lot of Edomites know mainly who they're over there fighting for. They're not fighting for American freedom and all that bullshit, the Constitution and all that crap they tell you. They're over there fighting for the small hats. So you're going to have a lot of disgruntled Americans. All right, what Esau is going to consider, this government is going to consider unpatriotic because you're against the war. Okay, but that's reality. All right, so you don't think these other nations they study shit just like Esau? All right, if we could make this war, stretch this war out as long as we can, as they deplete all their resources, they're asking their government for more money for defense. Okay, that's ultimately putting a strain on their economy. All right, all these nations are watching. Okay, so the longer this goes on, the worse it's going to be, and this war is not going anywhere. This war is here to the end, pretty much. Okay, they can stop bombing here and there, but this shit is going to pick up. It's not going away. Iran has their heels dug in. They're not going nowhere. All right, and the minute that they put ground troops over there, hey, within, I would say, just speaking as a man, within the next 3 months, 4 months, they're gonna have a draft, a national draft. All right, with all these little YNs running around, with guns and sticks and what is it, niggas got switches. All right, these devils, they're gonna draft the niggas. All right, a lot of these women out here gonna get drafted too. All right, because this is the Lord's will. All right, not Esau's will. This is the Lord's will. The Lord is putting the spirit on these nations to come together against Babylon. The Lord's putting the spirit on China and Russia to give Iran the various coordinates where, okay, bomb here or don't bomb here. All right, or do this. They're working together. All right, but like I said, the Lord got these nations in a trick bag too, because they're figuring out that, okay, we could beat them like this. They don't have an answer to this. And we know America still has their artillery, they have weapons and nukes and all that stuff, but hey, this war is going on way longer than Esau anticipated. Mainly Trump. He thought this was a in and out thing like they did Venezuela. Nah, this is, you've entered into some shit, something you can't get yourself out of. So I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna bring out some precepts because, hey, the stage is being set. All right, in all these various nations, they're looking at like, damn, America used to be this and used to be that. They ain't the same America. All right, the weak is saying I am strong, because before America would just send troops in, or they could even threaten to send troops in. All right, and these nations would get right. These nations would surrender. These nations would submit. Not no more. All right, because America is showing that they're vulnerable. At the same time, these various nations that surrounded Israel and various Middle Eastern countries, they're they're beginning to see that, hey, America can be touched. All right, and Trump is trying to drag NATO nations and the EU into this, but they don't want no parts of it. Okay, because they know what the end game is. All right, because if we get in, then Russia gets in. If they get in, this various countries, France get in, China's going to get in, and then that's what we're going to have. They're trying to avoid war at all costs, but it ain't up to them. All right, so let me play this. Then I'll pull out some precepts, like I said.
At all, and we don't have the ability to go deep anymore. We used all that in the first 39 days of conflict. We didn't suddenly magically wave a magic wand and have all of our defense industry wake up and go, we're going to produce a whole bunch more missiles in a very short period of time.
And they don't produce. They because Esau, America's been sitting on their high horse for so long. All right, they feel like, oh, okay, well, we don't got how many? Or we good. Ain't nobody gonna fuck with us. All right, but now they're in war, and they don't have they don't produce weapons. All right, at the rate that they once did. All right, they're not stockpiling weapons. So it was a few months ago, I think, that I think the Trump administration reached out to Ford or one of these car manufacturing companies here in Babylon. It's somewhere in Michigan, GM or somebody, and wanted to. Obviously, it's probably they do a lot of underhand shit. Okay, but they reached out to them to start help producing, weapons, tanks, or whatever they need to contribute to this war. All right, so let me play a little bit more.
Producing nothing, ladies and gentlemen. The money that's been allocated hasn't reached there. We aren't increasing our production yet. We may down the road, but it'll take years for this to happen. Yeah, years for this to happen. Meanwhile, Donald Trump re-engaged, saying, I want more intense conflict. It hasn't been more intense. It was more intense the first 39 days. Why? We don't have the ammunition. Nothing. And here you are. Look at the time it takes, 64 months to build an SM-3 missile, but we've blown through 2/3 of our SM-3. THAAD, 80%
of they used a lot of those missile defense systems over there on Israel. All right, that's what the first ceasefire was about. Like, oh shit, we got to call a ceasefire. We're running out of missile defense systems. All right, not for you think they would have them on their various military bases over there, but no, they got them all over there in Israel to protect the small hats. Okay, I'll play some more.
The THAAD missiles are gone. 53 months. SM-6, JASSMs, Tomahawks. We only had 90 of these precision strike munitions. It takes 46 months. We had 90. We used 80. We got 10 left. Guys, it's over. We have no ammunition. what we're using are HIMARS and attackers.
It's like Esau's out there flexing. You know, he got the AK. He on the block. He got the AK with the banana clip. All right, and it looked like it hold 100-round drum or whatever, and that nigga only got 10 bullets. All right, and the nations, mainly Iran, is saying shoot niggas. All right, empty the clip. All right, because once they empty that clip and they don't got the missile defense the missile defense and the weapons that they're used to having, okay, it's over. Okay, Esau better start. They may start retreating out of the Middle East and putting another game plan together because the shit they doing is not working. But like I said, it ain't up to them. They're gonna stay there because the small hats want them to stay there. It's gonna make them stay there, and more American soldiers are gonna die. They're gonna come back. All right, and they're gonna be sworn to secrecy. They can't say anything. All right, they'll catch a federal offense. Esau has all kind of slick ass shit they can do to keep things under the wraps. But hey, you can keep these people under the wraps, but you ain't gonna keep the prophets. The prophets are gonna prophesy what the hell is going on and report to the elect out there, the hopeful elect, that they take this warning and take heed and begin to get right with the Lord. So the Lord will be that covering when that time comes. Okay, because hey, the Lord is the only one that's gonna be able to deliver you from these Jacob's trouble and these plagues that are about to come. All right, hey, the Lord, there's a lot of niggas out there that is gonna get drafted. All right, and they say the age is what they say is 18 to 26. They gonna move that shit to 36. They may even move it to 40. All right, because ain't Jake out there ain't anxious to go join the military. All right, knowing that it ain't like you join the military, you do your 3 or 4 years or whatever it is, and you get your bread. Like no, when you get drafted, I'll say your ass is going over to war. All right, you ain't coming back. I'll play some more.
On Kuwait, Bahrain, and the UAE to strike targets along the coastline. And that creates a perception of power. We use these JDAMs, which is basically the joint, the standoff bombs, but they're not powered. So that your airplanes have to go high, drop, satellite guides them in on the target. Well, one of the problems with JDAMs is they get jammed. I mean, people, go look at what the Russians are doing to the JDAMs of the Ukrainians. They're jammed, they get shot down, all that. We're not hitting anything. And what we go in with deep, we're bombing empty buildings. We don't know what we're striking, and we're just burning through ammunition. And Donald Trump said, I really want to put the pressure up.
You got a lot of dumb, so-called generals over there, too. They just bombing empty buildings. Like when the beginning of this conflict or this war, they had drew some fighter jets and helicopters on the ground, and they bombed that. All right, wasting ammunition. All right, but the Most High is making Esau look like a fool right now. All right, and that's why the scripture says in Isaiah 14, this is he. All right, this is the man. All right, that's what the world is saying right now. This is the man that spends $1 trillion on military and defense. That gives arms and sells arms to various countries and has all these military contracts and stuff. This is the man that came. He has a sword, but he don't even know how to use it no more. Okay, and now like I said, Esau still got some shit, but they looking real suspect right now. Okay.
Military came to him and said, we can't. We don't have anything left. And if we continue this, we'll be totally defenseless right now. All of our air defense is stripped away. And the Iranians have ballistic missiles that will never end. And right now they're doing a lot of harm to us. They're taking out hangars that they shouldn't be taking out, but they're taking them out. And if we continue this war, they'll take out all of the hangars. We'll have nothing left. We've lost this war, so we stopped the war. Now, he hasn't declared a formal cease. We just stopped bombing. Now the Iranians went out and said, "You stop bombing, we'll stop our missiles." So there's a ceasefire that isn't a ceasefire. And this is the reality right now.
Okay, man. And see, and I'm thinking about because America was sending a lot of weapons to, America has been sending over the years, over the last, especially since October 7th, and since the war in Ukraine, America has been sending a lot of weapons to the small hats in Ukraine.
Yep, they send weapons to I want to say they sent weapons to South Korea too, and they were asking for them back. All right, to give to Israel. Okay, so this war is like I said, Iran is showing the world how to defeat Babylon. All right, and you know, these various nations, they may not have the navy, they may not have the air force, but you know, they got at the end of the day, they got prophecy on their side because all these nations eventually going to mount up against Babylon. Okay, that's why these nations. That's why this is the time of the end. That's why these nations are coming. Are saying the weak is saying I am strong. This is Joel chapter 3 and verse 1. Behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, the southern and northern kingdom, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and I will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom ye have scattered among the nations and parted my land. All right, so Lord, the valley of Jehoshaphat is that so-called Middle East, Western Asia area, the Levant. All right, the Lord is going to gather these nations to do some fighting. All right, some serious fighting. All right, in this war, it's going to be different. It ain't going to be no hand-to-hand combat like no Civil War or no shit like that, or you know the French Revolution. It's going to be fought with missiles. All right, this is Isaiah. What is it? 6? No. It's 9 and 6, 9 and 5. I think. Every battle, yeah, 9 and 5. Every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. That's talking about the missiles, or the ultimate war. All right, World War III. That's how it's going to be fought, and that's what they're using: missiles and drones. All right, Esau not crazy enough to go invade Iran on ground. All right, because they know they food. All right, once they step on that once they step foot in Iran, and they talking about Trump's talking about trying to conquer Kurg Island, which that hey, you don't think Iran is waiting for that? All right, this is the moment Iran has been waiting on their whole life. It was Ishmaelites over there that was born just to fight in this war. Okay, this is Joel. I'm gonna jump down to verse 9. It reads, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles: Prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the mighty men of war draw near, let them come up. Beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong." So they're beating their plowshares into swords. So a plowshare is, and pruning hooks are tools of agriculture, but they're making them into swords and spears, meaning that these nations are putting all their resources into things of war. Okay, like hey, these factories, well, China got so many factories, they can continue to make the all the bullshit they make, and still produce military stuff at a high rate. But these other nations are doing the same thing. All right, they're putting their resources, their money, all right, their efforts into war, because these other countries, they know what time it is. Their governments, they don't get it twisted. Their governments probably lie to them, but don't lie to them to the extent that America lies to their citizens. All right, because you ask the average nigga, you even got to ask a nigga, man. You could ask one of these smart dumb niggas. All right, a nigga that think he's the intellect, that he's up on shit. You can ask him about this war. He ain't gonna have a clue. Okay, he ain't gonna have a clue on the history. He don't have a clue of nothing. All right, but a lot of Americans have been plagued with that mind state that it's just another Afghanistan, or it's just another Desert Storm. They're gonna go over there, they're gonna wipe them out. Or it's just another what was it? Not Afghanistan. It was I can't think of the other one. But it's just it's just some exercise, and they like nah, it's bigger than that. And once this draft kicks off, that's gonna open up a lot of these people's minds out here. All right, once Esau begins to start drafting these niggas out here, all right, these Edomites, all right, these a lot of these heathens that come over here, they want to be accept it and they want to, live the Edomite life, they're gonna draft their ass too. They want U.S. citizenship. Okay, you can get U.S. citizenship. Here, grab this M16, put on these army fatigues. All right, and and that's how it's gonna be, man. Esau at this point, Esau don't give a shit. He's not gonna give a shit who he drafts. All right. It says, verse 11: Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty one to come down, O Lord. Let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, for there will I sit and judge all the heathen round about. The Lord's going to bring all these nations together for his will, for his purpose, but to also judge these nations. Okay? This is the book of Jeremiah 50, and I'm going to go to verse 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon. Babylon is America. An assembly of great nations from the north country. All right, and the north country is representing Russia. And they shall set themselves array against her. From thence shall be taken. Their arrows shall be as a mighty expert man, and none shall return in vain. Those arrows represent the missiles. All right, the ICBM missiles that France, UK, Russia, North Korea, China, all these nations have. Okay, and they're coming against Babylon, and the Chaldea shall be a spoil. And all that spoil her shall be satisfied, saith the Lord. They're going to be satisfied because they're going to say, we finally got this nigga. All right. They're going to be saying, damn, we've been trying to, get Esau's ass forever. And they finally got him. But that's going to be to their surprise. All right. Hey, Yahawashi coming back with the chariots to wear all the crowns. All right. To defeat all these nations. All right. When, like I said, these Edomites think they got next. No, your ass is going to get in line just like the rest of these nations when our Lord comes back and sets everything in its rightful order. This is Ezekiel 38:4. I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thy army, horses and horsemen, all them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, all right. The Persians are the Persians. Iran is the ancient Persians, all right. Ethiopia and Libya with them, and all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, and the house of Togarmah, and Gomer represents what would be so-called Turkey today. Okay, and Turkey is at odds with Israel. All right, so it's only a matter of time for Turkey is being brought into this conflict. Okay, and Turkey wants to smoke. Turkey got a nuke. They have nukes. They don't have ICBMs, but they got enough. They got enough to make it to Israel. Okay, and all his bands and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. All right, so Gog, what does it say? Well, Russia is going to be a guard to these nations also. All right, where was I? Okay, I want to go from there to Obadiah. I'm going to start at verse 4. No, I'm going to start at verse 3, then I'm going to jump down to verse 7. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, and it saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? That has been the attitude, the spirit of Esau. Who shall bring me down to the ground? Okay? But it says that Esau's pride has deceived him. All right? Because he was once big and bad. Okay, but he ain't the same. You ain't the same Edomite no more. You ain't the same. You changed. All right. Esau still think that Esau still living in the days where he just dropped Nagasaki, the atom bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. All right, yeah, that happened, but it happened over damn near 80 years ago. Okay, so hey, and Esau looking real, he looking real suspect right now, especially with this war going on. All right, and the whole world is taking notes. All right, the whole world. All right, because the blueprint is being set on how to defeat this devil. Okay, you gotta wait Esau out. Okay, and Esau, like I said, he's still in that spirit. The pride of his heart has deceived him, where he thinks that okay, they about to back down. Okay, let's and Trump's threats and his tweets and shit. All right, you're gonna see us bomb. You're gonna wipe you off the face of the earth, and ain't nobody going for them wolf tickets no more. Nigga, they know you ain't gonna do nothing. They know that you selling tickets. All right, let me jump down to verse 7. All the men of thy confederacy, oh shit, I went too far. All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee, they and prevailed against thee, and they that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in them. So this is talking about the current allies of Babylon of America. That the allies who Trump is was begging at the beginning of this to help us with Iran, help us, and none of these EU or NATO nations wanted nothing to do with that shit. It was like, nah, well, we with you, but we ain't with you like that. All right. The same goes when the war kicked off in with Ukraine and Russia. All right. Ukraine was pushing for a quick entry into the EU, and the EU was like, no, hold on, because if that happens, then that Article 10, where you attack one, you attack all, and that would have been World War III right there. And they know better, because truth be told, these EU nations, they don't want war. They want to stay status quo. All right, they want to say they want everything to just continue how it is, but it ain't up to them. Okay, because eventually their hand is going to be um their hand is going to be called, not called, what is the word, yeah, well, they're going to be pulled into this, whether they like it or not. All right, and the hostility, even with the so-called allies of America, has been growing. All right, that whole Greenland thing incident that happened, however many months ago, where Trump was talking big shit. Oh, we gonna take Greenland. All right, and them EU nations like, hold on, nigga. All right, you may be feeling yourself because you went down and you captured Maduro, and got your hand in that oil in Venezuela, but you barking up the wrong tree. And what did he do? He backed off. So they call him Taco. Trump always chicken out. All right, he's doing that right now. All right, let me go to Habakkuk, the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, and I'm going to start at verse 4. Is it 4? No, I'll start at 5. Yeah, I started at 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied. He gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. All right, he transgressed by that wine. All right, his wine, meaning his philosophies that he pushed upon these people, pushed upon these various nations, and set up fake deals that only profited Esau. Esau, sent economic hitmen into their countries to bankrupt their cities. All right, not the cities. They had to bankrupt their cities in their country and be in debt to Esau. Okay, that's that wine that these nations have drunk, but now they're sobering up. All right, he said he is a proud man, neither keep it at home. All right, meaning he's everywhere. All right, Esau, the Strait of Hormuz would be open if you want to come up going over there fucking with Iran. All right, but hey, Esau ain't got no choice, because Esau is America is taking direct orders from Israel. All right, and with them combining their militaries, where Israel has basically authority over the U.S. Army. All right, more hands-on control. All right, so that, if that's the case, they're gonna be sending bombs over to the Iran and whoever else wanted, Lebanon. All right. Um, he enlarged his desire as hell and as his death. He cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, and that's that debt, thick clay. The Hebrew word is ibatya. Okay, and he has, Esau's in debt to everyone. Okay, he's in debt to all these nations. Excuse me. Verse 7. Shall they not rise up suddenly and shall bite him and awake, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be, and thou shalt be for booties unto them, meaning spoils. All right, and it's just going to suddenly rise up and bite them. They ain't going to literally, they're going to literally bite Esau, but that bite is a metaphor for attack Esau, come after Esau. Okay, because thou hast spoiled many nations, and the remnant they spoiled damn near every nation. They spoiled all these nations except Israel. Okay, and the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land and of the city, and all that dwell therein. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. And we know these wicked elite, they're in the background right now, watching everything, pulling the strings, but they don't want to. They want Esau to do all their dirty work, and when everything is done, they want to rise up and, okay, let me take it over. It ain't gonna work like that, because at the end of the day, they ain't in control. The small hats ain't in control, and the American government ain't in control. It's the Heavenly Father that's in ultimate control, that's pulling all the strings, that's making Putin do this, making Xi Jinping and what's the other guy from North Korea, Kim Jong Un, and the I can't think of the new Iranian leader, but he's putting the spirit on all these various nations to come together to give Iran this information. Okay, the Lord is doing that. Okay, and that's what these nations don't realize. They think that they're smarter. They're smarter, and they got all this military knowledge. No, the Lord is working on the minds of these nations. All right? And eventually, the Lord is going to put an evil thought in the mind of these nations, and they're going to push that button. Okay, this is Job, the book of Job, chapter 12, and verse 16. With him is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his. All right, so the Most High is working on both sides. Okay, he's deceiving these nations to make them believe that they're in control, that that they're doing this according to their will. Okay, he's deceiving Esau. All right, to make him think that he still got it, that he's still the same Edomite that went into World War II and Desert Storm and Vietnam, even though that was a waste. All right, the Viet Congs was over there fucking E up out there in Vietnam. Okay, but all these wars where Esau was able to just annihilate and wipe people out, the Lord deceiving him to make him think he still got it. You ain't got it no more, man. Okay. One last scripture, Proverbs chapter 21 and 1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, and as the rivers of water, he turneth it whatsoever he will. Plain and simple. The king's heart, meaning his mind, all right, is in the hand of the Lord. So like I said, the Lord is on these rulers' minds. Okay? And really, the Lord is setting the blueprint. Iran ain't doing shit. The Lord is setting the blueprint on how he wants Babylon to be destroyed. All right, how how as this war goes on, the morale in this country is going to just be decimated. All right, people ain't man. You're gonna have high ass gas, high ass food. All right, while they're still sending trillions of dollars over there to support this war. At the same time, still sending money to Iran, still sending money to Ukraine. All right, you got your military out there thin. All right, leaving America open for some type of attack. These people and the nations know that this place is eventually going to implode within. All right. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying unto the hopeful elect, and I want to give all praise, glory, and honor unto Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Habakakodash. Shalom.